Australia is a black country, so's America. So the superpower warned us of a black terror. It's not theft if it's yours and you take it back, just the correction of an inaccurate fact. So I'm not afraid at the thought of immigrants, more ashamed of my quarter of Englishness. The Scots and the Irish don't want to take this, being occupied by a state that is racist. Black history is a story of revolution and resistance. A salute to all our brothers, from now to Maurice Bishop.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck dirty hell. Immortal technique. Got guns too, nigga. Killer Mike. Fuck Terminator, nigga. Brother Ali. Fuck Rambo. No. Yeah. Yeah. The ghetto is like a prison with invisible bars. No matter where you at, it always follow you where you are. And it's hard out there for a pimp to get out of, but it's harder for the hooker that he beat the shit out of. I got niggas underground in the Confederate States, ironically running from slavery that prison creates. So I never hate on the South, I respect their vision. I just hate on niggas that promote Samboism and white execs that love to see us in that position. They reflect the stereotypes of America's vision. They want us dancing, cooning and hollering, only respect us for playing sports and modeling. More than racism, it's stay in your placism. All people are trapped in practical blackfacism. So fuck a civil war between the North and the South. It's between field niggas and slaves that are stuck in the house.
Civil war for the soul of a nation. This is a struggle to save civilization. Demonstrations overthrowing the occupation. The annihilation of mental colonization. Civil war for the soul of a nation. We fight for the future of our civilizations. Destroy the corrupt government organizations trying to survive cultural assassination.
Black history, the school system made it a mystery, but they laid the foundation for you and me, so we put it in our music for you to see. This is black history, the school system made it a mystery, but they laid the foundation for you and me, so we put it in our music for you to see.
This poem is about history, specifically black history, something that's become an important part of our history. But when I was writing this composition, this verse, this piece, I had to ask the questions. What is Black History Month really? What should this poem be? Because Black history is a topic farther than anyone can cover or reach. Should it be about doctors, inventors, artists, physicians, and mathematicians, or activists who took action?
Accomplishments set apart from history books long forgotten. About Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech, about Malcolm X's moral shoot to be free that remains immortal, about the tree of culture that grew from the roots of struggle, the Harlem Renaissance and cultural integrity, revolution and the Black Panther Party. Should it be about the slavery? When we could rewind back in time to the olden days dating back to slaves, when people were removed from Sierra Leone, fighters of Biafra to Louisiana, displaced, boxed like animals in a cage, enslaved, legs conjoined by chains and shackles on their brains, their identities lost through centuries of Holocaust. Or we could fast forward to a time when slavery was abolished, when times of change and freedom was finally acknowledged, but segregation kept black and white, color and non-color divided, and hatred and racism prevailed through the ignorant isms of the age, about how prejudice of race manifested into a stake of living black men and women engulfed in flames, about how many centuries it would take, how many leaders had to come and go to make people see that being black is a beautiful gene. About how many people had to be hung by their neck until they could no longer breathe for us to realize that our complexion of skin shouldn't confine or define us, but help make us unique. But then, out of nowhere, my paper started to bleed. It bled the blood of human beings who were lynched on trees. And then my paper started to talk. It spoke in a voice that sounded a bit weak. It spoke the words of those who could no longer speak. And it told me that I was missing the point. That's about so much more. That's about what Collegiate Woodson lived for. The reminiscence of a deeper history. About how Africans used to trade gold to Europeans before they became commodities. About the world's first university, founded in Timbuktu. The origins of Hebrew, the black Jews in the land of Canaan. The black Pope in the Kingdom of Solomon. The black continent of Australia. The Ark of the Covenant buried in Ethiopia. The complex harmonic resonance is embedded into art on the temples of Mali, the Dogon tribe and their advancements in celestial astronomy, the pyramids and how they lined up with the stars in symmetry. Did you know that was a black man who made clocks out of time, and time is a slave to Eurocentricity? We could take it back to before history, to the times of Adam and Eve, about how in Arabic Adam used to mean black, but I guess even the Bible has been rearranged to change the facts. About how it was Africans who built castles across Europe before settlers, how they built 450-foot pyramids 3,000 years before the first skyscrapers, 2,700 years before the Nile was drained and became the Middle Passage, or their post-colonial victory, Shaka Zulu's conquest just decades before the end of slavery and bondage. But I guess, to be honest, none of you have really been taught this. Truth about the children of the sun for a reason. History has been erased and replaced as if it were treason. About how they used to be kings and queens, but then I interrupted and I said, I get it. Black history is so much more than we can observe. Black history, black accomplishments are too great in number for us to give credit for. Black history is basically the history of humanity. But then my paper started to bleed again, but this time over the entire page. It drowned my writing until blood filled every square inch of space, and this time it spoke without rain. It said, yes, but there's more. It's a poem about how whips became whips, and how chains became chains. It's a poem about how cages became jail cells, physical slaves became economic slaves, about how cotton became crack cocaine, how cotton fields became suburban ghettos, about how slavery has changed to fit the times, about shackles that harden into bone, incarcerating the mind. It's about something that is apparent even in the 21st century, but remains hidden in the depths of our society, about Dr. King's dream that remains incomplete. It's about something you can barely see, about the essence of hard times that have been lost along with dreams. This is not just a poem, it's a story of a boy and a girl. One boy, born as a target into this world, and one fatherless girl who is ready to sell her soul to any man who can paint the illusion of paradise. A black girl who lives off lies, and a black boy who won't be able to add a verse that can change history's course. And finally, as their words started to sink, and as the blood dried from red to pink, the color of all people prior to being born into this world, the paper had one last thing to say to me. It said, Sajipin, this poem isn't just about history. It's about a struggle that existed then and still hasn't ceased.